Welcome to Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode 69. Hi, we're glad you're listening. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jill. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Our podcast is for our Becoming Ellie community.
We encourage healthy eating, exercise, and trying to inspire each other to stay motivated so that we get the most out of life. Our Becoming Ellie community is named for Ellie, the Norse goddess of old age, who was challenged to a wrestling match with Thor and won.
We were inspired by this story and have used Ellie as a role model.
Hey, shout out to Megan, who left us a review on the Facebook page of Becoming Ellie. She says, I just love listening to the podcast while I take my morning walk, now partly a jog. I discovered this podcast during COVID, and honestly, it helped me to regain my whole focus. And then she talks about all the different things that she's done and then says, I am in much better shape. Thanks in large part to how relatable you ladies are, which keeps me connected. Presently, I am on week 4 of Couch to 5K. I am down 30 plus pounds and was down almost 40 before COVID. I am working to continue to get the weight off and I'm halfway there.
Wow, that's great. Boy, Megan, that's really inspirational. I love to hear things like that. And I really appreciate you posting that on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. And great job. You're doing so well. It says that you say that you're going to run a 5K over the next 6 months. So keep us posted on your progress on that. That's just very exciting. I remember my first 5K and it was just so nerve-wracking and exciting. So keep at it and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, and it sounds like she's working that Couch to 5K program that both you and I have had success with. And I remember you talking about that more recently, Jill.
Yeah, I just redid it. I find that to be a really helpful way to just get back into running if you've had a break. Yeah. So I keep mine on my phone and pull it out periodically and go through the program.
Yeah, there's any number of apps and things like that, variations on it, but I like that too. And I used the Hal Higdon version when I first was doing Couch to 5K.
Oh yeah, and he has his own type of training plan, so that would probably be helpful.
Yeah, he has different lengths and things like that, but for the Couch to 5K, I used his version.
Okay. I used one that had this wonderful British woman's voice, and she had such a nice accent, and she was the right combination of enthusiastic and stay out of it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great. So have you been doing some running lately, Jill?
I have, and it's fall and the temperature has dropped here in Ohio and it's been perfect running weather. It's a gorgeous day and I am actually out camping but I think when we're done talking here, I may go for a run.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been riding my bike a whole lot more. Although one evening I rode and the last 15 minutes, it was pretty dark. I need to upgrade my light situation for sure if I'm going to do any evening rides because the sun sets way too early.
One morning a while ago and there were people riding their bikes, but it was pretty chilly and some of them had great winter biking gear on. So I thought of you and I thought, well, I hope if Chris is out riding, she's dressing warmly.
Oh yeah. It hasn't been as big of a problem as it might have been because we've been riding more during the hotter times of the day where usually I can't ride during that time, but rather than going early, like an 8:30 a.m. ride, trying to do a little bit more of around noon or early afternoon when that's usually the warmest. Yeah, and I have warm things to wear too. It's a lot easier to just keep adding layers,
all the races this year so far were canceled, but I signed up to do the Buckeye half marathon. Well, I'm doing the 10K, but I'm wearing my sweatshirt.
Buckeye shirt. Yeah, well, we're on Zoom right now, and I see that. And as soon as I saw that sweatshirt, I thought, you know what? That's her Buckeye shirt. Because I remember when you got that last year, I helped out as a volunteer passing out. I think I passed out apples or something during the event.
I think you passed out. I saw a reminder. I said you had the most important job there. You passed out the Buckeye candies.
Oh, the candies. That's right. That's right. It was Buckeye candies, which are really yummy kind of candies. Probably the only time you want to eat them is after you've really burned a lot of carbs. Because they're delicious. They're delicious.
They are.
Kind of
you were the most popular person in that tent.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it was really fun. And what day is that? I have to mark it on my calendar.
November 1st. So it's a Sunday morning.
Nice.
Day after Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm doing the 10K. I'm not doing the half marathon. I have not trained to a half marathon yet, but the 10K should be fine.
Well, 10K is good. That's great. That's a great distance, and it'll be really fun. I hope for good weather for you, because you never know in November, you might end up with something a little more chilly than what you expect.
Yes. Last year it
might be beautiful.
Last year it was chilly. I know, because I saw pictures and I was quite bundled up, but it was at least not raining or snowing or precipitating. So we'll hope for the same for this year.
Yeah. Well, I love it when the weather is nice out, and I've just started to come to the realization that as the weather changes, now's the time to get my winter program together. And I kind of took another look at my weights that I have here at the house, and I'm thinking of investing in a kettlebell if it's available online. I know that a lot of those were all sold out during the beginning of COVID, but I really would like to have a kettlebell here at the house as well.
Yeah. So maybe also just look like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and for some used ones, you might be able to find something.
Yeah, it's possible. Although I do think they're getting snapped up rather quickly these days.
Yes, they are. But good luck with that.
Yeah. So the exercise is going pretty well. I'm doing more biking than I've been doing and more walking. But the eating, I don't know if we're ready to shift gears here to the food. I'm finding eating is more of a challenge for me these days.
So I remember when we talked, who did we talk with earlier, one of the podcasts, and she said that in times of stress, we tend to eat like we did in our childhood.
Yes. I'm finding that I really am craving toast. And that was something that, I don't know, was an easy thing to learn how to fix when I was a little kid. And so maybe that's it. But
what are you putting on the toast?
Oh, too many things. I just had some with honey on it. My husband's a beekeeper, so and also this is sinus season, and I do have some sinus issues. Honey, I've found, because it's made from the pollen of the local, it's supposed to help with your sinuses, and whether it really does or not, it gives me an excuse to eat some from time to time.
My grandfather was a big believer in honey as the cure-all for just about everything.
Well, I do know that it's helpful for skin. Like if you've had road rash or something where you have quite a bit of scabbing and it gets tight and then hurts and bleeds, you can put honey on it, which is a very sticky situation. You have to be ready for that. But
so I know a lot of people with eczema or psoriasis or whatever are using honey as a skin salve.
Right.
So
as a salve, it totally works, but I will say you can't sit on your good furniture. Don't think about doing that.
Right.
You know, because it really is a sticky mess. But there's something about how it adheres to the skin. So if someone's, struggling with some of that, I highly recommend that for that kind of situation.
And that has to be raw honey. You can't go to like the grocery store and buy that pasteurized honey.
Well, I don't even know why people would pasteurize it. It does not spoil. And most of the honey that you get in the grocery store comes from another country even. You really want local honey, the wildflowers and everything. And there's never a reason to boil honey, to pasteurize it or anything. You want it to be in the raw state. It to be, I think, over 50 degrees so that it will be a little bit runny. Otherwise, it crystallizes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had some honey toast, and yeah, I've been dealing with a lot of stress. A death of a family member, and that's been very difficult over the summer, and then more recently when during the funeral and all of those things. But getting through. And I have to say, I was reading one of the groups that I'm in Facebook, and I don't know where I saw it or when, but I saw a woman about our age whose husband had recently passed, and she was writing in the group that she was able to keep up with her exercise regimen. And I was thinking, my goodness, she's really to be admired. Because when you're in a fog, you need those endorphins.
Yeah.
And it's
So
one of the
here's what I will
hardest
say is
things.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, I went through the death of a husband, so I can
Right.
say that
Yes.
some of those things, they're fine to do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with exercising, but it is also sometimes a good way to avoid facing your feelings about
Yeah.
things,
Yeah. That's
Um,
right. Everything I've read about grief is if you put it off, you're putting it off. You have to
you
go
have to
through it.
grieve.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can go through grief right away. I mean, grief is one of those things that lasts a long time.
Right.
Um,
And it hits you when you're not expecting it in a wave,
Yes.
just different things, smells or,
Right. Or
sights.
I remember standing in a grocery store one time and looking at the bottles of mustard, I think, and just being consumed with waves of grief
Yeah.
from just memories of being in the grocery store. I had a husband who loved to shop.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to me too, it's music. When you hear certain songs or even instruments,
yes.
So anyway, it's a challenge for me to not do emotional eating. I know I lost quite a bit of weight over this summer because I wasn't eating. I was on very weird schedules. I wasn't sleeping right. I was doing a lot of caregiving, and that weight has all come back. And I don't know if, and it's certainly not muscle. Let's put it that way. It's not muscle because I've been doing some biking, but I haven't been doing a lot of strength training or, I haven't been caring for myself in the way that, I usually do with the whole health and fitness thing. It's more just looking through photos and, trying to feel my feelings. I guess that's the thing. Because I do understand that emotional eating will go away when I'm not feeling so emotional, if that makes any sense.
Right. You have to be kind to yourself. And sometimes it's just better to be patient and don't expect more from yourself than you need to.
Yeah.
And, it's okay. Yeah. Feel
okay not to be a superstar. Not that I'm any superstar, but some days you're just feeling like getting through the day and checking off a few of the obligations that I feel required to finish that I've promised to do and things like that. So
I've been sort of trying intermittent fasting this summer.
Oh yeah, how's it going?
It's going well. I actually find myself really liking it.
What part do you like?
Oh, well, I feel good doing it.
You're not the only one that I've heard of doing that. I mean, many people that we interviewed on the podcast and some of my friends too, just swear by it.
And I know, so we have talked to a number of people, and then I've read a lot of books recently, and it seems like every book, whether it's about longevity, Alzheimer's, weight loss, whatever, just general health, is advocating some kind of intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm. So do you do like a 16-8 window?
So I sort of vary between about a 16 to really about 16 or 18 hours. And I'm not real strict about if I get to 17 hours and I'm starving, I'll eat. I don't really worry too much about like, I have to do 18 hours. But I have to say I have done fasted running and fasted working out, and I have felt great.
That's good. And you don't have any trouble closing your window at, say, 5 or 6 p.m. or what have you?
So sometimes I find myself wanting to just keep eating.
Right.
So, I could like so later and later, and then I have to, which then delays the next day. So I'm trying to stop early evening. My biggest problem seems to be is I schedule a lot of things for early evening, and then it's like, do I try and eat before this thing, or do I eat after? And
sure. No, that makes sense.
And socializing changes it too. So I so like, so if on the weekend I'm doing things, I don't really sweat it if I'm not fasting.
Yeah. Well, and socializing is so different these days. I found that kind of thing isn't really the problem for me.
Right. Well,
I'm not socializing like I used to. That's for sure.
Right. Yes. Well, right. I'm not either. But
so when you're camping, do you have special camping foods that you eat that stay in your healthy? I don't know. Like for me, camping typically is not healthy eating. Just because of what we would bring. But that was a while back.
I am camping with Mike, my boyfriend, and he has a very limited palate.
Okay.
Because he deals with food allergies. So he eats pretty much the same thing. So last night for dinner, we had salad with chicken on it.
Oh, well, there you go. Good. Well, that sounds like definitely within what you'd be looking for.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So,
and maybe you bring some of your own toppings that, are good for your.
So he has his salad, and then I bring my salad with a lot more veggies on it. I told you I'd been buying the pre-chopped veggie slaw mix at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But this week I thought, I took cabbage, carrots, and Brussels sprouts, and I put them all through my food processor and just chopped them up myself.
Yeah.
Put them in a plastic bag, and I brought that for my toppings.
Well, that's great.
My salad.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that adds a lot of fiber. It's good. Good stuff.
It's crunchy. So yes, I bring my own toppings. I brought nuts and we have our own, we each do our own salad dressing. And
nice. Yeah, so you have salad together separately.
Yes, I make his salad first because of the allergies. I've learned that his stuff has to come first because I tend to chop things up on the cutting board, and that affects his food. So
yeah,
if I'm doing the cooking or the food prep, I make his salad first, and then I do my salad.
Right. Well, we know just from talking with different folks about allergies that it can be a little or it can be a lot. And I know I have allergies that cause my sinus problems, but I'm sure that, other folks deal with allergies that cause different kind of problems,
Yeah. And I have basically caused his face to start swelling up. So
yeah.
I've
and it's not with like a big smile either. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, that's something.
Yeah. Otherwise, camping, well, it does entail drinking some beer and that kind of thing, which is probably not on the healthy diet. But
yeah, again, but it's good for the soul to sit around a campfire and enjoy, people's company and just being out with nature. I find is a real stress relief. Hearing. I don't know if it's crickets or frogs or whatever the heck it is. And the full moon is just, I don't think it's full right now, but it was the other day. And
oh yeah, it was gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's very good for the soul, and it helps to put things in perspective. I love being out in nature. I really do.
Yes, I agree. And, going so like you said, doing more walking, going for a hike in the woods, even if it's just on a paved path on a park is just good for our mental state. The walk is good for our physical state, but there's something about being in nature that's good for the mental state.
Yeah. It helps to kind of put things into order and give you a sense of beyond yourself and your own problems. I say you, but I mean me, beyond my own little worries of things that aren't really even worries, but it's kind of like my to-do list or things that keep me outside of the mindfulness and noticing the joy of nature, whether it's the birds or the chipmunks and squirrels and all that, or if it's the trees with their beautiful leaves and the sun.
So I think that's pretty much my food. I've been fairly consistent with what I'm eating these days. So
yeah. And are you still doing your strength training?
Some. I have not done as much as I should be. But I have been doing something. I tripped on that dog leash a month ago.
Gosh, I did see that, right? We talked about that. How's your recovery?
It's I'm much better, but I still have pain, and my wrist was so sore that I was sort of avoiding anything that doing a lot of the strength training that involved using
Sure.
my hand
Yeah,
was
that makes
a
sense.
challenge. But it's better, so I think I'll be able to get back to it. And that was really unfortunate because I was really starting to feel really back in the swing of things and feeling good about it, really having ambitions of getting strong.
Well, the good thing about strength training, especially if you've been doing it for a while, you pick it back up rather quickly.
Yes. Yes. And I really do like strength trainings. I do want to get back to it.
Yeah,
I
excellent.
did venture into a yoga studio a week or two ago.
Oh, good. How did that go?
Well, it was interesting. They had spots marked on the floor, so you would put your mat on one of those spots. So they were marked out so that you were 6 feet apart. So they had probably half the people that they normally would in a class.
Did you have to wear your mask through the yoga?
So I noticed that on their schedule, they had some classes that were marked must wear mask and some that were marked mask was optional.
Oh, that's good. So you have choices if you want a choice. That's
Yes,
good.
if you want a choice, you could choose. I went to what they called a slow flow class.
Oh, I like those.
Oh, it was wonderful. I was, I've been doing a lot of running, so
Yeah.
it was all those
Perfect.
stretches and things were just like, it was like heaven.
Very good cross training.
Painful heaven. Painful heaven.
Painful, but in a good way, and really great cross training. I think yoga and running go together better than peas and carrots.
Yes. Yeah. So I think yoga does a lot for the running.
Yeah. No, I would agree. That's great.
And it was very strange to go into a yoga studio right now because I haven't been in one.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a lot of first times of trying things again, things that you used to take for granted because you did it all the time. And I feel like once again, when I finally do venture to do a race, I'm going to be so nervous because it'll feel like my first race all over again.
Right. I'll be interested. I don't know how they're going to handle like the starting line for this race because I don't know.
Yeah, because as I recall last year, they didn't use electronics means. If I remember right, it was more people writing down the times and calling out numbers and things, sort of the old fashioned way before you had the tickets on your feet.
But we were all grouped together in one big clump of people and then took off. So,
so staggered times would be very difficult. So it will be interesting to see how they administer the race and do the times. And I'm sure that's one of their big challenges. But.
Yes. I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, but knowing the group that's running it, they're going to do the right thing and make sure that it's a safe run. They wouldn't do it any other way. I know that they're very conscientious.
So those of you listening, if you want to let us know what you're doing about food or exercise during the fall or this change in season time, let us know. You can
and the positive mental attitude. I would love to hear those kinds of things, when you're going through a difficult time in your life. I could use that right now.
Yes. So some good advice on dealing with stress, grief, anxiety.
Yeah.
All those things. Yeah.
Normal human emotions that we don't like to talk about or face. I should say, I don't like to talk about or face.
No, I'm right there with you. I am not big on discussing those things, but
but we all have them. It's part of life. And,
yes.
I would love to get some support from the community if possible. So,
okay. So you can leave us a message on the Becoming Ellie website.
Yeah.
And we have the Facebook page where you can also leave a message. We have, Chris, what's the phone number for
the
us?
phone number is area code 330-970-6662.
So you could call and leave us voicemail. That would be great. Or you could email us. It's chris@becomingellie.com and Jill@becomingellie.com.
And Ellie is spelled ELLI. All right, Jill. Well, looking forward to our next episode.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too.
Hope everyone joins us.
Okay, talk to you then.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.